221-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means our show is brought to you by Rouse's. Fired up to be here. Working towards the weekend. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Luke Johnson with us talking black and gold in 15 minutes. And the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, will join the show an hour from now at straight up 2 o'clock. I have thoughts on Jordan Love as the Saints and Packers get set for their matchup up in Lambeau. Got a little baseball in hour number 2 as well. The end of this hour, we'll have our survivor pick and best win and worst loss on the board in college football and the NFL. So plenty to get to here on this Thursday. And again, appreciate you hanging out with us. LSU and Arkansas, 6 o'clock kick on Saturday. And started kind of diving into the Razorbacks a little bit more deeply last night and into this morning. And just kind of looking at different statistics, different personnel, looking at some of the highlights and kind of looking at some storylines for this game. And one is coming to the forefront for me a little bit. It's not necessarily will LSU replicate its offense from last week. It's not necessarily the injury to Rocket Sanders or KJ Jefferson as the senior quarterback or the Arkansas new coordinators. To me, one of the things that I haven't considered as much over the course of this week is Arkansas's defensive front and the way it has played against the run. Last year, Arkansas was historically atrocious against the pass. I mean, absolutely abysmal, stopping people through the air. They've made some changes back there. They've brought in some transfers, trying to stay healthier. And we'll see what that pass defense is. But their run defense through 3 weeks has been pretty good. Now, we are still at a point in the calendar where it is difficult to look at statistics and have them tell you the absolute truth. When you play Kent State or you play Western Carolina, statistics can get out of whack in a hurry. I get it. So I'm not going to lean too heavily on that. But Arkansas did do a good job against the run with BYU. BYU ran it 31 times for just 77 yards in that game, only 2.5 yards per rush. In that game, Arkansas had 9 tackles for loss and 3 sacks. That is really disruptive up front. It's a very, very veteran group that Arkansas will bring in here on the defensive front. You know Landon Jackson, former 4-star recruit from Texarkana, came to LSU and ended up transferring to Arkansas. He's 6'7", 281 pounds. He was really good last week against BYU. 3 tackles for loss on the year. He's got 2 sacks. He's got real NFL measurables on one edge. The other edge is Trajan Jeffcoat, who's a 6'4", 281-pound fifth-year senior. He started 30 games for Missouri and then transferred to LSU. In 2020, the COVID year, which was weird, he was an all-SEC player for the Missouri Tigers. In week 2 of this year, he was the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. So those 2 guys have been pretty good for them on the edges. And then on the interior, they've got Tarian Carter, who's 6'3", 303 pounds, another fifth-year player. He missed last year with a knee injury. He's back and healthy. Eric Gregory's the other tackle, 6'4", 318 pounds. He's another fifth-year senior. Last year had 10 starts. He's played some played some tackle. But basically, you got 3 fifth-year seniors and a junior in Landon Jackson up front here. They've got the most sacks in the SEC with 12. Now, 7 of those were against Kent State. I think that's a reasonable caveat to toss in there. But this is a spot where if you're trying to find some Arkansas advantages or some spots where they could give LSU some trouble, maybe it's this defensive front that's played well through 3 weeks. The question is LSU ready for that up front? We've seen them cycle through some players in garbage time against Grambling. We've seen them try to mix in Lance Hurd when they could. And Charles Turner met with the media yesterday and was kind of asked How has this gone as y'all have kind of moved some guys around here and there?
Really, it's just instilled in all of us throughout the whole group. You got to prepare for anything, really. So, like, you know, when we study for teams and we study for things, like, we're not just studying for our position, like, oh, he just no center and just no guard. Like, everybody has to know all 5 positions, because if somebody goes down, then we got to step it up as the next man up. So it's just like, you know, when we have a situation like that, and, you know, we have guys like Lance that can step up for us, and, you know, guys like Emery can bump in the guard and play guard for us, it just makes our unit a lot better.
I consider LSU's offensive line a potential strength on this team. We'll see over time. They got beat pretty good at the point of attack by Florida State, and they handled their business against Mississippi State. And I think from Mississippi State, you're taking a little step up here with this Arkansas defensive front. LSU has won 13 games in a row in which they've run for 200 yards. That's not totally shocking. You run for 200 yards, you're very likely going to win. And LSU, like I said, has won 13 in a row. I don't see that happening. I don't think LSU is going to run for 200. But can you run for 150? Can you run for 175? Can you control the line of scrimmage? Because if LSU wins that line of scrimmage, that goes back to the talking points we had in August. That means if you're winning up front, 1, you're going to be able to run the ball. 2, teams are going to have to come up and help, and then they got to deal with Malik, Brian Thomas, a healthy Mason Taylor. And we saw how that goes last week. Not a lot of SEC DBs that are going to do a lot of damage against Malik Neighbors one-on-one in space. So, big deal for LSU in running the football against this Arkansas front. Now, here's another little wrinkle to these statistics I'm throwing at you, one of which was that BYU really had trouble running the ball against Arkansas. BYU's quarterback is Keaton Slovis. Keaton Slovis is a statue. He doesn't move at all. Jaden Daniels, not a statue. Runs really, really well. So it's an apples to oranges run game comparison there, and I fully realize that, and I think that adds some intrigue, and I think that gives LSU some numbers advantages. If you're trying to stop the run against BYU, you got to win the point of attack and go get the running back. If you're going to try to win the run against LSU, you're going to have to win your battle up front and then find the ball, whether it's with Logan Diggs or Caleb Jackson or Josh Williams, or if Jaden Daniels has kept it. And it's not just design runs. It's non-design runs as well, where he drops back, and then you just find a way to make things happen on the ground. It's a different offense than what BYU is putting up there against Arkansas. So as we continue to look at this Arkansas team, and most of the data we'll pull is from BYU because I think that's the most relevant comparison. I don't know that LSU compares very much to Kent State, who's probably the worst team in the MAC. As you continue to look at that game against BYU and kind of pick from it what you will, I do think Arkansas's defensive line is stout. I think it's old. I think it's veteran. I think it's pretty good. I think the challenge that they face this weekend is much greater. 1, LSU's offensive line is better than BYU's. 2, they got more talent at running back. 3, they've got a quarterback that can make you hurt. It's, once again, as you talk through it and you look through numbers and you look through matchups and you look through personnel, there's a theme in this game, and it's that, generally speaking, LSU's got the upper hand. There's a reason Vegas has picked this as a 17, 18-point number, depending on where you're looking. LSU's got the better players. But if there's a roadmap for Arkansas to make this thing work, it's not their corners locking LSU down. It's winning at the line of scrimmage. It's getting pressure on Jaden Daniels. It's tackling the running backs in the backfield and creating negative plays and getting LSU into 2nd and 12s and 3rd and 11s. That's where Arkansas can maybe pin their ears back, and we know that their new defensive coordinator wants to be aggressive. That's his MO. I think Barry Odom was a little bit more conservative, a little more, we'll keep everything in front. He's gone to UNLV. Arkansas is going to be more aggressive this year. And it's easier to be aggressive in 3rd and 11s. So for LSU, as I look at this right now, I'm going, okay, neutralize that. Use your big, strong offensive line that should be a strength on your team. Win the point of attack if you do that and you run the ball and you give Jaden Daniels some time and you let your guys who have advantages on the outside go play. Arkansas is going to have a really hard time stopping you. They had a hard time stopping BYU last week, and that's more so in terms of points and not yards because they didn't even crack 275 yards in the game. but they did score 38 points. But again, it's worth mentioning. It's worth noting that Arkansas does have a good front that LSU is going to have to deal with. Once you get past that, you're in good shape. And like I said, LSU has won 13 in a row and they run for 200. If they can just run for 150, 175 in this game, you're talking about a real good opportunity to shift those winning odds in your favor. But we'll see. Landon Jackson and company probably going to play pretty hard in this game. LSU and Arkansas, 6 o'clock coming up on Saturday night. We'll chat with Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, coming up at straight up 2 o'clock on our show this afternoon. We are working towards the weekend. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Those are always brought to you by Rouse's. Rouse's Supermarkets, great place to get your tailgating needs. If you're going out to tailgate for a home game this weekend, maybe it's the first time all year. It was a little warm. You didn't want to see LSU beat Grambling by 65 points. You just want to come out for an SEC game. Get your tailgating shopping done at Rouse's. You don't even have to go in. It's a wonderful shopping experience if you do go in, but if you don't want to, download the Rouse's app. They make it so easy for you. You can do all your shopping at your fingertips. Have your personal shopper go in there and do it all. Pull right up there next to the front door. They'll bring it right out to you. If you spend $35, you don't have to spend a cent more just for the pickup. Not tough to spend $35 stocking the tailgate. And if you spend over $100 and use the promo code SAINTS20, $20 off of your Rouse's order. Appreciate Rouse's for bringing you our Thursday shows. Take a time out. When we come back, Luke Johnson of The Advocate. He covers the black and gold, a little Saints discussion on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets whether you win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. You can bet point spreads. You can bet player props. You can bet over-unders. There's even more in the FanDuel Sportsbook that you can bet on. Use our promo code. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued and eligible bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks.
Charles Handigrove, join us for Football Friday from Rufino starting at 10 a.m. It's Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments. We're getting you ready for the weekend. Join us at Rufino's at 10 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Thursday edition of our shows, as you just heard, brought to you by Rouse's. And every Thursday, we head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline and we chat with our guy, Luke Johnson, from The Advocate, covers the black and gold. Luke, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. How good's the Saints defense?
Really good. I think they're a lot better than I was expecting. Well, maybe not better than I was expecting, but I think they are better than they were last year. And I think the thing that maybe some people were worried about coming into this year, with some of the older players on this defense starting to show signs of their age, that hasn't been the case through 2 weeks. So I think it's been really impressive, especially on the back end. That combination of corners they have, and Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, and Alontae Taylor, I think are playing really, really well. And then they're marrying that up nicely with that front four, which that was an issue for them last year. They were having a hard time generating pass rush with four guys. And this year they've been able to do that through 2 games. They haven't had to blitz as much or utilize the blitz to get pressure. And I think we're just seeing the results of that.
What's your biggest concern on offense?
Well, I mean, it's got to be the offensive line play. I think the fact that Derek Carr has been pressured as much as he has, I think the fact that they haven't been able to get anything going on the ground unless it's Taysom Hill running the ball, that's a concern. I don't think that's going to be the case throughout the year. I really do think that at some point things are going to click for Trevor Penning. You got to remember Monday night was his 3rd NFL start. He's had to block some really, really good players the last 2 weeks. And I just think that eventually it's going to get there. But as of right now, I mean, it's easy their biggest weakness. Not even on the offense, but on the team, generally speaking.
Has Derek Carr spoken to that effect of hey, what it's like playing while they're not doing so well?
Well, I think he touched on it briefly after the game Monday, and he's like, look, it's really nice to be sitting here 2-0, knowing that we can be a lot better. I think I agree with that. They obviously are working in some new parts here. New quarterback. They're working in some stuff that the new quarterback likes. The quarterback is playing a part in helping out with the protections. They got a new starting left tackle. List kind of goes on. So it's going to take some time for these guys to gel a little bit. But while they're figuring it out, they're winning football games. That's an absolute positive. The thing is, they're as much as we like to talk about them holding opponents at 20 or less points for 10 straight games. I mean, I don't think you can count on that being just a staple every week. You're going to have to go out and score points if you're going to be a relevant football team in the NFL. So they got to figure it out. But I think they're happy that while they're figuring it out, they're finding ways to win.
What are they going to do at running back here?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hilarious that they go into this offseason. They're like, man, we need to get better at running back. Whether Alvin Kamara deals with a suspension or not, we're not good enough there, so we're going to sign the NFL's rushing touchdown champ from last year. Guys coming off a 1,000-yard season, and then we're going to draft a really explosive running back in the 3rd round, and we're going to be able to get through this suspension. And then, they're going to play 3 games without Alvin Kamara and not have both Jamal Williams or Kendre Miller for either of them.
Yep.
So I think right now, look, it's not official yet. We'll know officially tomorrow, but it's looking like Jamal Williams is not going to play, and that's going to be presumably Kendre Miller stepping up. He's obviously missed the first 2 weeks with that hamstring injury, but he's been a full go at practice, and all signs are pointing towards him being the guy. But I think Tony Jones showed last week that he's earned a little bit of a spot here, while they're kind of getting through this first 3-week stretch without Alvin Kamara. Beyond the 2 rushing touchdowns, I think he did a really nice job in pass pro. So he'll be on the field for sure. And it's not an ideal situation where you're going to be completely leaning on the rookie running back who's making his first start in Lambeau Field of all places. It's going to be a tough proposition for them, I think.
And Marcus May has been told to take a seat. We figured that was coming. What does it mean for the Saints in the back end of the secondary?
Well, I think we are probably going to see Jordan Howden back there, the 5th-round rookie out of the University of Minnesota. I think he has pretty dramatically outplayed his draft position just through training camp, what we've been able to see out of him. They clearly trust him. He's been playing what is essentially like a quasi-starter role as their third safety in their dime package, which they are like constantly in on third downs. But I'm a little concerned about that if I'm the Saints, because you're going up against the Packers offense that throws a lot at defenses, a lot of misdirections, a lot of motions. They try to get you out of position. I think that's going to be tough for a rookie safety to just jump into. So I'd fully expect them to see out there, but it wouldn't surprise me if they give up some potential explosive plays in the back end.
Let's talk about the Packers as the Saints head up to Lambeau this weekend. I'm guessing you've seen a little bit of Jordan Love. What's been your impression?
I think he's been impressive. He's not Aaron Rodgers by any stretch, but he's a really talented guy, and they've obviously had the luxury of letting him sit and learn in that offensive room for the last couple of years. So he knows what he's doing in this offense. And I think he's the type of quarterback that can hit you on those shot plays, those deep shots downfield. And I think they've got probably better weapons around for him this year than they've had in the past. I really like that rookie. I might be getting his name wrong. Jaden Reed, kid out of Michigan State. They got some. The rookie tight end Luke Musgrave is nice. They might get Christian Watson back this week. So he's currently leading the NFL in passer rating. He's got 6 touchdowns and no picks. The Packers have done a good job keeping him upright. And I think when you got a quarterback with that level of talent, that makes it pretty difficult to stop.
You mentioned keeping him upright. Bakhtiari seems to be hit and miss with his injury, and they've got a couple guys banged up front. Is that where the Saints have a chance to take control of this thing with the way that their front is playing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll see what happens with Bakhtiari. I think the rumor, which he shot down, was that when he's coming off that significant injury a couple of years ago, he doesn't like playing on turf. So obviously they're going to be on a grass field up there. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in the lineup. But Elton Jenkins is a really good player in his own right. He's their starting left guard. He's doesn't look like he's on track to play. And I think the Saints front has just been really good, man. Especially getting pressure up the middle. Nathan Shepard had a couple of really nice plays in that Monday Night Football game. I think Brian Brzee is looking like he could be a future Pro Bowl type of player.
Yeah.
He's so disruptive. And I think when you're getting that pressure up the middle, that can force quarterbacks to make some bad throws, which we saw the Saints take advantage of in Week 1. And it also flushes them outside to guys like Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson, who I think have played really good football through 2 weeks. So, I feel like that's an area where the Saints have a decided advantage going into this, even though I think the Packers have a pretty good line. If they're down 1 or 2 guys, that plays kind of right into the Saints' hand. Has
Granderson surprised you a little bit with his level of play?
No, actually. I think I've kind of been waiting on this from him for a minute. He's kind of showed it throughout practices and stuff pretty much since he's been here. It's just he hasn't been able to put it all together in the games. Obviously we've seen through these 2 weeks that Trevor Penning's had his struggles, kind of adjusting to the NFL level, but he was terrorizing that guy in training camp. It's like every day He's just eating. So I'm not surprised by it. I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to keep it going now, because that's been the one thing about him is he hasn't been able to kind of sustain the success at this level. But I think he's a big part of the reason why they felt comfortable letting Marcus Davenport walk in free agency this year.
All right, power rank these three that you're most excited for, one being the most excited. We got cheese curd, we got spotted cow, we got lower temperatures this weekend. What are you most excited for when you venture back to the homeland?
Oh, come on, man. This is like an impossible choice.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, this is like way harder than anything else you've asked me in this segment. I think, all right, I'm going to go with weather one.
Okay.
Just because I love Louisiana. I can't deal with the summers down here. I'm so excited to get up there for that. I'm going to go spotted cow two, closely followed by cheese curds. I'm going to crush all three of them in my 3 days up there, 2.5 days. Enjoy
Lambeau, man. Travel safe, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good, man.
He is Luke Johnson of The Advocate. If you weren't aware, Luke is a Wisconsin native, came down here to LSU for college, and has made it his home. He hasn't lived there in a long time. He says he can't deal with those winters up there either, but that is the homeland for Luke, and I'm sure he's gonna do it right up there. I was, just speaking of Lambeau, because I have a second here, I was really impressed by Lambeau when we went up there in 2016. I thought of Lambeau in my head as just this old historic landmark that was probably, for lack of a better word, like kind of crappy, run down. Not the case. They pumped a ton of money into it. It was really nice. I got to go into the atrium and see kind of what they've got there. There's a Packers Hall of Fame in there. And the facility as a whole was like really, really nice, which impressed me. If you've never been up to Green Bay, it is funny though, because to get to Lambeau Field, you basically just drive through a neighborhood. Like most NFL stadiums are either out in the burbs, like, so you have to drive out there like the Cowboys where they play, or the 49ers out in Santa Clara. They're just out in the middle of nowhere. Or it's right in the middle like downtown like the Superdome is and like the Falcons stadiums have been, where you kind of know you're headed. Like, no, Lambeau, like you're driving by some like probably like 1,500 square foot homes, like modest Midwest homes, and all of a sudden you just turn the corner like, oh, there's Lambeau. It's right there. Like it's a different setting than anywhere that I've ever been in the NFL, and I think it's different than anywhere in the NFL. The Packers do things a little bit differently. I'll give some of my thoughts on Jordan Love and the way that he's played through a couple of weeks a little bit later in hour number 2. But glad to get Luke's thoughts on that here as well. 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 104.5ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner on September the 29th. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Markets, Citizens Bank and Trust, and 104.5 ESPN. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll hear from LSU defensive end Savion Jones. He met with the media yesterday, and I've got some thoughts on his comments. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Love LWCC's Champion of Louisiana campaign. Go to lwcc.com/champions. You can read about and learn about all these champions of Louisiana that LWCC has brought up over the last year and a half, and Marucci Sports is the latest. Of course, you know Marucci, founded in a backyard shed here in Baton Rouge back in 2004, and now they're supplying the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball with their equipment. It's an amazing, amazing story of innovation and entrepreneurship from right here in the city of Baton Rouge. Through pioneering initiatives such as the Baseball Performance Lab, Marucci has expanded their workforce by 137%, and they're helping to attract talent to Louisiana, and they're keeping our top talent here in Louisiana, which is so, so important in a battle that we always fight here in our great state. Meanwhile, the Marucci World Series is here every single July in Greater Baton Rouge, and it's a tourism juggernaut. It draws thousands of youth athletes, their families, their coaches here every single summer. So Marucci doing a lot more than just carving out bats. They are truly a champion of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2640.
Week 4 in the prep football season, and we get started with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock. Friday night at 6, Catholic High and St. Thomas More kick off at 7, and that's immediately followed by Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Thanks to Luke Johnson for jumping aboard. You can follow him at @LukeJohnson on Twitter. Excited to chat with Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, in 30 minutes. Talk some LSU-Arkansas with Chris. I want to talk some LSU-Arkansas here, and we're going to play some sound regarding this Arkansas offense. We talked about their defense and ability to stop the run at the top of the show, and we're going to talk about a little bit about this offense that Arkansas is running. And Savion Jones, LSU defensive lineman, who really had a nice game on Saturday against Mississippi State. It wasn't just the one sack he had in the first quarter coming off the right edge where he rode Will Rogers down. He was really present most of the game, and that's a guy that I think is a big key to this LSU defense being as good as it can be. I think there's a ceiling on this defensive backfield a little bit, but I think that the ceiling of the defensive line is higher and can help the back end of the defense with their ability to pass rush and to stop the run and create some ability to blitz and create some pressures later in the chains. Savion Jones talked about this game, LSU and Arkansas, and just how physical it usually is in the Trenzers.
It's been a close game. They're a pretty good team. I see they got a whole new offensive coordinator and all that, but just them as a team, they're a very physical team, man. Just like us, we go put up a fight.
They want to run the ball, Arkansas does. Now, Rocket Sanders helps them run the ball immensely. He's a really, really talented back, and even if he goes on Saturday, it's a knee injury. It's 3 weeks in. I just don't see Rocket Sanders going 24 carries for $140 on Saturday. It seems unlikely. I'm not going to rule it out because I haven't spoken to Rocket nor seen him in 3 weeks on TV. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like, based on the practice workload, the quotes from Sam Pittman, and just the nature of a knee injury for a running back, if he might play, but he might be a little bit limited or might be on a pitch count of sorts in this game. And so they're going to want to run it. A.J. Green's done a nice job filling in, and we know K.J. Jefferson does want to run. LSU's defensive front is going to have to win up front. Arkansas's offensive line, by every single person that covers this Arkansas team that I've heard on a podcast or seen on Twitter or heard post-game, has said the offensive line has really had some struggles. So LSU's defensive line is going to have to hold up their end of the bargain, and Savion Jones talked about that yesterday.
I feel like we did a lot of progress going from week 1 to where we at now. We had a couple of bumps and bruises along the road, but I feel like we slowly patching it up right now, and the whole D-line, we starting to put it together now.
No doubt Mason Smith is healthier today than he was a month ago. That's inarguable. And he obviously is a big piece to what they want to do on the defensive front. And it's early in the year, so all those bumps and bruises that are inevitable for a defensive line playing in the SEC game in and game out are as good now as I think they're going to be moving forward. And having the defensive line at full health is a big help to this team. Savion Jones talked about it.
It's been great being able to have our full D-line back at full health so other people can see and realize like who they got to go against and like which one of us you want to game plan against, because having all three of us as weapons is a hard thing to try and counter.
I wanted to dig into this, and it's the K.J. Jefferson run aspect of this game. You all know K.J. Jefferson. He's been their starting quarterback for 3 years. He's big and physical and does a really good job running downhill. He's not as dynamic a runner as Jaden Daniels is. He's not as dynamic a runner as Jalen Milroe is at Alabama, but he's an effective runner because of how strong he is, and he runs pretty well, too. I have heard... I listen to a lot of podcasts during the week. It's how I kind of keep tabs on a lot of schools in the league. It's just the way that I found is effective. If I'm running in the afternoons or in the car on the way to work or whatever, I'm trying to ingest as much as I can from other SEC teams to try to keep up and to be informed when I talk to you about them. And one of the things that's been a constant echo from the Arkansas beat is that they're trying to run K.J. Jefferson less in this offense. You know, he's been banged up. He missed the game against LSU because he was hurt last year from running the football. In 2021, he carried the ball 146 times in 13 games. That's 11.2 per contest. That's a lot. And then last year, he carried it 158 times in only 11 games. That is 14 carries per game for KJ last year, and it ended up getting him hurt. So they're saying, well, they're trying to run him less. They're running him less. They're running him less. And I keep hearing that. It's from not just from one source, multiple sources I'm listening to with this Danny Daniels offense. And then I look at the statistics, and they've played 3 games. A couple of them have garbage time, and he's run it 31 times. That's 10.3 per game. Like, they're still running him a lot. And Savion Jones talked about the challenge in dealing with KJ Jefferson.
He's a real big quarterback, like 6 foot something, 240. So when I was playing with him, we definitely can't come in tackling up high and stuff like that because he's the type of quarterback that's ready to drop your shoulder into him. So we got to make sure we wrap him up and that the backside pursuit be able to pursue to him so we can get him down.
It's a rock and a hard place for the Arkansas offensive staff because when you don't have Rocket Sanders and your offensive line's not consistently dominating like some Arkansas offensive lines have in the past, you need KJ Jefferson's running ability to make you a balanced offense. Arkansas is never going to be the best version of itself with KJ Jefferson at quarterback, sitting back in the pocket, running it 4 times with him, and throwing it 32. Like, that's never going to be the best recipe for Arkansas. But if you want to put him out there and make him run it 15 times in a game that doesn't have Rocket Sanders or that has him in a limited capacity, well, he's probably going to get hurt. It's tough. I think in this game that Arkansas is going to run him a good bit. I just think it's their best path to trying to keep it close and win, is to have him with the football and not sitting back there chunking it 30 times to a mediocre wide receiver core, and that's not the strength of his game. KJ Jefferson was at his best 2 years ago when they ran the ball physically and he could take deep shots to Traylon Burks, who was awesome. Arkansas hasn't replaced Traylon Burks with a talent near that. And now KJ's still running the same, doesn't have the big play capability on the outside, and he's getting banged up. So, again, I understand the risk there. I just think they're going to continue to run him a good bit. That brings into serious consideration and serious play Harold Perkins and his role in this game. We saw Perkins against Arkansas last year. Malik Hornsby at quarterback, totally different deal. That's a track guy playing quarterback who can't really throw. KJ Jefferson can throw, and he's not a track guy. He's a good runner because he's powerful and is very good at picking up 3rd and 3s. But Harold Perkins will have a lot to say about how effective KJ Jefferson can be running the ball, because they're going to spend a lot of time asking him, 1, to spy, and 2, to just go get him. Either way, Harold Perkins is affecting KJ Jefferson. Maybe it's coming up the field and making a play in the backfield. Maybe it's just being sure on 3rd and 6 when the coverage is there and the pocket breaks down, that when KJ tries to get out and go, that Harold's right there and ready to go get him. And I can promise you this, if Malik Hornsby can't outrun Harold Perkins, KJ Jefferson ain't going to do it either. I like that matchup for LSU with Perkins able to affect KJ Jefferson on most of the big plays in the game. Brian Kelly was on the teleconference yesterday, and he just kind of talked about Dan Enos running this offense in Kendall Briles' stead from the start.
I think, you're going from a different structure on offense from Broyles to Enos, and so there's going to be some transition there. But, Dan's a really good football coach. He'll have that offense prepared, to look like Sam Pittman's, football team. They're going to be physical. They're going to take shots down the field. They're going to play smart football. They're going to complement their defense. So, when you really talk about it from my perspective, they're going to be a complete football team when they get to the point where everybody knows what they're doing on every single snap. It's a scary team to play as they continue to develop.
Enos is a little more traditional than Briles, and I think the biggest difference that I can tell as the novice observer, Kendall Briles comes from that up-tempo, let's go, let's run play, and he wants to go fast. Dan Enos is a little more traditional. He liked to huddle. He liked to run the ball and work off play action. And I think Broyles is better. I've said this now for 2 years. When Sam Pittman took the job, for him to get Barry Odom after he was fired at Missouri and to pull in Kendall Briles, he hit 2 at least triples with coordinators. They're not home runs. At least triples. And those guys left, and I'm not so sure he didn't hit a couple of bloop singles here with coordinators. And that can upset the apple cart in a big way when you are a position coach by trade who's there to run the operation and help recruit, which is what Sam Pittman is. Ed Ogeron won a national championship doing it here. Dabo Swinney's had a ton of success over at Clemson doing it there. Like, it can be done. But you're going to have to rely on your coordinators bigly. And I think that Arkansas had really good coordinators, and I'm not sure they do now. We'll see. But the results right now are not great. Now, maybe Rocket Sanders comes back and changes that. Maybe the offensive line plays better and changes that. But to this point, Arkansas has been pretty pedestrian on the offensive side of things. So hopefully LSU's defense can continue what they did last week against Mississippi State, dominate up front, and go ahead and take care of business on Saturday night in Death Valley. I want to remind you about Folds of Honor. 104.5 ESPN, along with Acura of Baton Rouge, teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website, 1045ESPN.com. Everyone who makes a donation will be entered to win exclusive prizes. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy. Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's. We'll come back, Close out the hour with best win, worst loss. We do that every Thursday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready to start the NFL week off right, because right now all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay for Thursday night football. That is, of course, tonight. Just place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game between the Giants and 49ers, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So build your own or choose one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN so you don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the National Football League. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issued not withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
Tune in this Sunday as we bring you 3 NFL games, starting with our noon kickoff, the New England Patriots against the New York Jets. Immediately following that game, it's the Chicago Bears against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then our nightcap, the Steelers and the Raiders. Tune in here on 104.5 ESPN.
You are listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Working towards the weekend, Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks to Luke Johnson for stopping by earlier. If you're looking for your black and gold coverage. Luke Johnson's awesome for The Advocate. Is on Twitter @by Luke Johnson. And if you're looking for it from our perspective, you can go to Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Got a new YouTube channel. Trying to get the subscriber numbers up. If you want some Saints information, Saints coverage, Hunt on Saints has you covered. All Saints football. That's all it is on that channel. And if you're into the Saints, it'll just show up right there on your homepage if you subscribe. So we'd certainly appreciate it if you would do so. And hey, you guys in the Bayou Ford chat just watching live today. If you want to throw us a like, we'd really appreciate that on today's show as well. We do it every week at this time. Our best win and worst loss on the board. College football top 25 as well as the NFL. And again, we try to keep this reasonable. We're obviously think it'd be a pretty bad loss if the number 2 team in the country lost to a FCS school. But that's not where we generally move. In the more reasonable games, talking about best win, worst loss, it's a monster weekend. You know there's Ole Miss, Alabama. You know there's Clemson, Florida State. Colorado's playing Oregon, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Like, it's a big weekend across the country in college football. And so I gave a lot of thought to what the best win and worst loss could be. And to me, the best win on the board is Notre Dame at home beating Ohio State. Notre Dame has scratched at the surface of getting over the hump, but they get swatted back down. It's like whack-a-mole. They go down there in 2012 to play Alabama in the national championship, and I mean, just get absolutely annihilated. They've made the playoff. They've been non-competitive. They're good. Brian Kelly had a good program there. Marcus Freeman's teams look pretty good, but they haven't reached the level of being a championship program. They don't have a conference championship to win, and they're not winning when they get to the biggest stages. And this doesn't classify as the biggest stages, but in a year where we're kind of looking around going, well, who's the best team? Is it Georgia? Is it not Bama? Was it Florida State? Is it Michigan? Who's the best? Well, Ohio State's like in that discussion. We don't think they played great, but they're in the discussion. And Notre Dame would have a chance with their new quarterback, new coach, to announce, hey, by the way, nobody really knows who's the best here, but put our name in the mix. I think that's a pretty big deal. You look at their games moving forward. They've got USC coming to South Bend. They've got to go to Clemson. We don't know what Clemson is. We'll find out on Saturday. But I think if they were to beat Ohio State, that'd be a major feather in their cap moving towards playoff time. So to me, the best win on the board in college football's top 25 is Notre Dame over Ohio State. The worst loss to me is actually a ranked-on-ranked game. You go, well, it's not that bad a loss. Penn State does not need to lose to Iowa. Penn State is kind of in the same conversation as Notre Dame, where it's like, yeah, you got pretty good players, good coach, cool whiteout, but you ever going to win an important game or not? And Penn State kind of has it. But you're going to have to get to the big games, and Iowa is good on defense. They've scored a few more points. Don't lose that game. Just hold serve and get to the big ones down the road. I think the worst loss on the board would be Penn State. The National Football League, it's not as good a slate as it was last week. I think the best win on the board to me would be the Commanders beating Buffalo in Washington. That would move Washington to 3-0. You got a good division. Everyone knows the Eagles are good, and we think the Cowboys might be pretty good. Now, the Giants have fallen off a cliff here after their playoff season last year, but whatever. Washington's trying to keep pace, and you got a good Buffalo team coming in. I think that would be a great win for Washington if they were able to move to 3-0. And, oh, by the way, new ownership group, have y'all noticed the new owner never wears Commanders gear? He puts the color on, but never a logo or any of that kind of stuff. Kind of leads me to believe they may be making a change here at some point again. Worst loss on the board, we'll go to the NFC East and stay there. Cowboys have looked great. Can't go to Arizona and lose. That would be awful. The Cardinals, in my opinion, without their quarterback, are kind of tanking, looking towards the college ranks to get rid of Kyler Murray. Maybe they can't because of the contract. I don't know, but they're terrible. If the Cowboys want to be relevant and do what I'm talking about with Notre Dame and Penn State and actually win some important games, play for a championship, probably shouldn't go out to Arizona and lose. Just my 2 cents on it. So for me, best win in college football would be Notre Dame winning a home game against Ohio State. Worst loss, Penn State losing to Iowa. In the NFL, the Commanders beating Buffalo in D.C. to win and go to 3-0 would be the best win on the board. Worst loss, Cowboys playing the Cardinals. Thursday shows brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets. If you're trying to tailgate, or watching the Tigers, watching the Saints this weekend, get on by Rouse's. Do your game day grocery shopping. T-Bob will be out at the Rouse's Burbank and Lee coming up tomorrow for his normal 3 to 5 remote. If you missed any of the first hour, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Google as well. Opened up talking about Arkansas's defensive front stopping the run. They've been pretty good at it. What does that mean for LSU? Luke Johnson talking Saints at 1:15. Then I heard from Savion Jones and Brian Kelly on this Arkansas offense at 1:30 before our best pick. By the way, survivor pick, which I forgot to get to, Chiefs. The Chiefs are my survivor pick. They're not going to lose this week. There's no chance they're losing this week. So give me Kansas City in survivor. After Sports Center, we'll hear from the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Stick with us.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
It is still storm season. And even if it's not storm season, power sometimes goes out around here with some afternoon thunder showers. Let Boudreaux's Electric help you on that front. Boudreaux's Electric, family owned and operated by Neil and Melissa Boudreaux for 40 years. They are a certified Generac generator dealer, and not just that, a premier Generac generator dealer. They're in the top 3% nationwide. Every generator that comes from Boudreaux's Electric comes with a 10-year warranty for free. Don't have to spend an extra cent. 10-year warranty. And one of the cool things that Boudreaux's Electric can do for you is monitor your Generac generator remotely, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're gone and your generator fails, they'll know about it immediately, and they can go in there and fix it. Maybe it's just during the course of a random day. Kids are out there throwing balls around, hits the generator, causes something to malfunction. They'll know about it. They can come out and fix it. Give them a call. Same number they had for 40 years. It's 985-397-1562.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-20.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Week 3 kicks off tonight in the NFL. The 1-1 Giants meet the 2-0 49ers in Santa Clara. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is day-to-day with his lingering right calf injury. Cincinnati plays the Rams Monday night. ESPN's Chris Canty believes Burrow should sit out until Week 8 after the Bengals bye week.
In order to get to the point where it becomes manageable, where he can go out and show some semblance of being the quarterback that we've seen over the past 2 years, he's going to have to be able to drive off of that back foot. And that's where he's had his calf injury on his right leg. So I think it's a situation where the Cincinnati Bengals have to protect the player from himself.
Chris Canty on Unsportsmanlike. Steelers safety Minkah Fitzpatrick says he's not a dirty player and that there was no ill will behind his hit on Browns running back Nick Chubb Monday night. Chubb is now out for the season with a knee injury. Jeff Greenberg is the new GM of the Tigers. He's been the associate GM of the Chicago Blackhawks for the last 2 years.
Summer Bonanza means more business in the fall months. Hire right with Indeed. Their integrated solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been this easy. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
We are working towards the weekend here. Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. And on this weekend, the Tigers will be at home taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. 6 o'clock start from Tiger Stadium. That means I'm on the air with Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite at 4 o'clock until about 5:30, and that's when I toss the baton to the broadcast team inside the stadium. That's Gordy Rush, Doug Morrow, and, of course, the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Mr. Blair, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Hunt. Ready for the weekend, man. I mean, I know it starts around here on Thursday, but I'm ready to get to Saturday already.
It does start around here on Thursday, and for those that don't start on Thursday and want to wait till Friday, maybe after work, that's not really the case here either, because T-Bob and Jacob and River start drinking in here at like 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So it's just a free-for-all on Fridays around here for home games. Your impressions on watching inside Davis Wade, LSU's offense on Saturday?
Yeah, highly efficient and really a ball of energy from the get-go. I mean, I think when you look back to last week's game, Hunt, you kind of do the woulda, shoulda, coulda, if that would have been the energy and efficiency and that competitive edge that Coach Kelly talks about in the opener. You know, how different would that game have been? Because, again, it was an 11 a.m. start. The hotel was rocking at like 6 a.m. I feel bad for anybody who was in Tupelo staying with us that wasn't part of the LSU party, because it was loud, as they were just trying to get the energy going. Then we stopped and the team stretched. Everybody's heard about that because Coach Kelly thought it was important that, on that hour's drive, nobody took a little nap or got off the bus a little groggy. And it seemed to have worked. I mean, they, the mantra from the coaching staff, and I'm paraphrasing here, was to start fast, and keep your foot on the pedal and then leave no doubt. And that's exactly what played out. And, talking to Brian on his radio show last Thursday, he said, hey, look, I haven't been to Davis Wade, but I understand. I've seen it on TV. I've been told, it's a raucous atmosphere. The cowbells can disrupt communication. But if we go in and play well early, we can turn it from cowbells to, as it turned out, cowbell. There was one lady below us that kept going the whole game, but it's a big difference when there's one versus 60,000. And I just thought it was impressive. I mean, I thought Jaden showed us what he can do. That's a pretty high standard to complete 88% of your passes, 30 of 34, and have his most passing yards as a Tiger. But it's been seen now And I just think if they can bottle that up, whether it's 11 a.m. or 6 o'clock, home or away, they're a tough team to tussle with because Mississippi State had no answers.
Look, this is not inside baseball at all. Brian Kelly has said it multiple times in press conferences dating back to last fall. They want Jaden to take shots down the field, and he did that against Mississippi State, and Malik cashed him. Do we expect to see more of that?
Yeah, I think so because he looked comfortable doing it. And I agreed with Coach. He mentioned it on Monday that, yeah, that was great, some of the stretching the field. But I was more impressed with him just getting positive plays. I mean, some of the checkdowns that he made, staying in the pocket or moving the pocket a little bit to get an open receiver and not throw it away, not try to force it into tight coverage or take a sack. I mean, he was willing to dump it off for 3, 4, 5 yards, and then you're looking at, 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 2, and then the playbook opens up again, and you can continue to take those shots. So I was impressed just overall with the way he managed the offense. But I think without question, confidence breeds confidence, success breeds success, and based on what they did last Saturday, he should have all the confidence in the world, and obviously Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, and the list goes on and on. So I'd be shocked if they don't continue to try to push the ball downfield. But I think it's also very important that he's able to, again, get good protection, which I thought the offensive line played very well, but also be able to use the talent he has to not just immediately bail out of the play, but to, again, stand in there, took a couple of shots after he released it. I mean, he looked like a pro quarterback on Saturday.
He did, and if he continues to do that, LSU's going to be tough to stop. We know the names and the faces that go into the passing game. The rushing attack's kind of been a different guy every week. How do you see the running back room at this point?
I think there's a slight little bit of separation, and I emphasize slight, with the way Logan Diggs, I think, has ran the football the last 2 weeks. Again, hard to glean much from the Grambling game, although I talked to a lot of guys who played the position who said, hey, you can still see good running. And he had good technique, had good speed, he had good burst, he found the holes. They liked the way he ran the ball. You don't want Jaden Daniels being your leading rusher. And again, that's nothing, out of the clubhouse. Coach Kelly has said that's not the recipe for long-term success, to have a quarterback who now we know can make all the throws, has a great receiving core around him. We don't want to expose him constantly running the football. So I think Logan Diggs is getting there. I'd be perfectly happy on Saturday if I saw the majority of carries actually going to Logan Diggs and Caleb Jackson. And, I may be in the minority there because I know there are talented guys who have a book of business, so to speak, from years past. But they're, I think Logan's very consistent. And I think, Caleb just gives you that extra something. It's that speed, it's that power, it's the, putting people's face masks in the dirt and then flat out running over them that we saw. So I think it's getting there, and I think they'll probably go to it again. I mean, I think they're going to, try to stretch the field against Arkansas. Certainly BYU in spots last week were able to make some big plays in the passing game. But I think as we get deeper and deeper into this season, it's critical to be able to run the football and find one or two guys that are the go-to runners.
Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, joining us here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline, Hunt Palmer Show here on a Thursday. We'll switch over to the defense. What did you think about the pass rush that LSU was able to get on Will Rogers Saturday morning?
Yeah, they really got after him. I mean, he completed that first pass on it for 12 yards, and it was like, okay, I've seen that before. That's not that surprising. And then just immediately after that, they got pressure. They disrupted the rhythm. I thought Harold Perkins was doing what we love to see Harold do, which is, he got a sack, but he also just created havoc back there. And I think sped Rogers up. And even with four-man rush, I mean, LSU was able to get right through that Mississippi State offensive line. A lot of that, I think, is also due to us maybe underestimating the total overhaul from the air raid blocking schemes to a more power and run-based option scheme, or offense, because they looked really out of place a couple of times. But, able to get home 4 times to get the quarterback. And you could just tell when he's throwing footballs to open guys at their shoe tops, he's rattled. And I just thought defensively, as much as the offensive numbers pop out at you, I just thought it was a solid defensive game. Super impressed with the freshman Whit Weeks, who, he was covering sideline to sideline and It's amazing how many times I look down at the end of the play and there's number 40 again, led the way with 8 tackles. And, I've heard Coach Kelly talk about it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. If you're a young guy that brings the energy, plays well, plays smart, plays with discipline, you're going to get more minutes and you're going to be in the game. And I'd kind of be shocked, again, not knowing the depth at linebacker going into this week due to some injuries. I got to believe we're going to see a lot of him on Saturday.
Love your Hearing Voices podcast where you talk to other voices from around the SEC, and you spoke with Chuck Barrett according to your Twitter earlier today. That'll be up a little bit later today. What was the pulse of the Hog Nation up there in Northwest Arkansas as they come down?
Well, I think Chuck put it as it's not been a good week up here, Chris.
Yeah.
I think was the way he phrased it. Razorback Stadium looked electric to start that game last week, and Arkansas was putting points on the board. And then you slowly just kind of see these penalties, 14 of them. And it's hard to beat anybody with 14 penalties committed. Then it came down to 2 costly turnovers. BYU started to get home and get pressure on Jefferson. They forced a costly fumble and just wore out the 2 tackles who were her freshmen. BYU just took advantage of that. And it came down to, I think, the 14 penalties, obviously, but which team was going to blink first. Tie game 31-31. You're at home. It's at night. You got some energy, you think, and they just couldn't muster anything. But the biggest takeaway I had from talking to Chuck today, Hunt, I think you might be interested in this, is I asked him. I said, I know it's a different offensive coordinator. Kendall Briles moved on to TCU. Now Dan Enos comes in. But K.J. Jefferson only attempted 13 carries against BYU. And when I think of K.J. Jefferson and Arkansas having success, I have this vision of Jefferson 20 yards down the field, carrying a 5'10", 195-pound cornerback, to the end zone. And Chuck said it was a little peculiar and that he thought it would be odd based on Rocket Sanders pretty much doubtful to return Saturday. If 13 carries is all that K.J. Jefferson has in the game, it will be stunning if Arkansas is in a position to win that game. So we'll see. I think LSU with their pass rush has the potential to, again, get after KJ, got to contain him. But how many design runs is the big quarterback going to have? Because he's really the only running threat the Razorbacks have.
We shall see. Coach's Show tonight, Brian Kelly Show from TJ Ribs, 7 o'clock. He and Chris Blair are guest here. Chris, are we ready to tell everybody who's my head coach interview of the week? Are we still waiting there? Can we talk about that?
Well, I was so excited to join you today at 2 o'clock. I checked with all the powers that be, and we are allowed to promote your guest at Tiger One right there on the stage before the game. And I'll allow you the honors because I'm excited about it, and it probably will bring a few people to see what you guys do on Saturday.
I would imagine. Kim Mulkey seems to draw a crowd and win a lot wherever she goes, and she'll be with me on the pregame show right there just between the ramps of the PMAC. About an hour and 20 minutes before kickoff. So if you're on campus, you want to come on in before you go in, you want to hear Kim Mulkey, see Kim Mulkey, she'll be around and we'll have a good chat. So I'm very much looking forward to that. She's going to have a pretty good team, I'm told, this year.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. I mean, I don't have any inside information, but yeah, we hear they should be pretty good. 4:40 for everybody. Be there for the Hall of Famer and multinational champion Kim Mulkey, and hard-hitting interview coming from Hunt.
Oh, yeah, all the hard questions coming from right here. Enjoy the Coach's Show tonight, and we'll see you out there on Saturday, Chris. Thanks.
Thanks, Hunt.
He is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. I'm excited to chat with Coach Mulkey, who actually had a statue unveiled last night in Ruston, just outside, I believe, Smith Coliseum. I believe that's what it's called up there in Ruston. Either way, Carl Malone was there. Terry Bradshaw was there. A lot of Louisiana Tech luminaries, and Kim Mulkey had a statue unveiled. But she'll be with me on Saturday before the game. So if you're a Lady Tiger fan, or you've got a young person in your house that's a Lady Tiger fan and wants to see the Hall of Famer, she'll be out there with me at 4:40 prior to kickoff between the ramps of the Assembly Center. So very much looking forward to that. Speaking of other sports on campus, a little baseball news yesterday. I'll get to that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center in southeastern Louisiana. It's a collaboration that's going to provide patients in our region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in all the nation. Ochsner is the first and only provider in Louisiana with a fully integrated cancer program that's based on MD Anderson's practice standards, treatment plans. They have access to their specialists, their researchers, as well as select clinical trials that are available to some eligible patients. We all have been affected by cancer one way or another. And Oxford and MD Anderson have come together to join that fight against cancer. That expert care is going to be offered in 7 locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, and Baton Rouge. Plus, they're working together to certify additional sites moving forward. If you'd like more information on Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center, we invite you to head over to ochsner.org. That's ochsner.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infinity Q?
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Getting you set for your football weekend. Ryan Clark, Fantasy Blitz, Mike Triplett. It's all Thursday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Thanks to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, for jumping aboard here on this Thursday. Got some thoughts on Bryce Love, who the Saints will see coming up on Sunday. That's in the next segment. But was a little bit of announcement from D1 Baseball yesterday. They gave out their top 100 college draft prospects for next summer's draft, the 2024 draft. And LSU had 5 players in that top 100. Should come as no surprise that Tommy White, number 7 on the list. Look, you're talking about a guy who is got explosive bat speed, opposite field power, has really produced for 2 years, drove in 100 runs last year. in a college season, set the national freshman home run record 2 years ago at NC State. That is a guy who hits and hits and hits. And is he the smoothest fielding third baseman you've ever seen? I would suggest maybe not, but there's a base across the diamond over here he could probably play, and now every Major League Baseball team has a DH. So that bat that Tommy White has is very, very draftable. He'll be right in the middle of LSU's lineup from the start next year, and is a top 10 pick very, very potentially because of what he's done for 2 years. The next name, it didn't shock me. It surprised me. The name and where the name was ranked. It's number 12 on the list. 12 of all the college players that are draftable next year, number 12. It's Luke Holman, right-hander, transfer in from Alabama. We know he was Alabama's Friday night guy last year. We know he pitched well in the regional. He pitched very admirably against Wake Forest in a bandbox of a ballpark in the Super Regional last year. And I know that his stuff's pretty good. Maybe I'm being a little dismissive of Holman. We have to do around here, and I've got to do it too. I'm patting my chest saying, Hunt, you're in that number. We can't compare every transfer and quarterback to Burrow as they kind of transfer and take a step forward. And we can't compare every transfer pitcher to Skeens. Well, you see this jump Skeens made? He wasn't even that good at Air Force, and then all of a sudden he's the first pick in the draft. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. But if you're telling me that Luke Holman's one of the 15 best draftable players in the country, that's not where I would have had him. I think he'd probably be on the list, but I'd probably be thinking more closer to 90 than 12. And then you realize that Thatcher Hurd's 25 and Gage Jump is 62. Gage Jump is a left-handed transfer from UCLA who missed last year with injury. That's 3 upperclassmen pitchers in the top 100. And it's enticing to think about. Currently, as I look at LSU and their potential pitching staff next spring, I think of Thatcher Hurd as the ace. I think of Luke Holman as the 2, and I think of Gage Jump as the 3. That's the way I look at it. There are certainly other options, and we'll get into that when the time is right. This is about these guys that have been put on this list. But that is exceptionally talented. Holman's had 111 strikeouts in 100 innings over his 2 years at Alabama. Last year, 7-4 with a 3.67, 87 strikeouts in 81 innings. And then you look at Jump, who didn't pitch last year, as I mentioned, due to injury, but as a freshman, made 7 appearances, started 3 games, and he limited batters to 172 batting average. He struck out 22 guys in 16 1/3 innings. As a high school senior, he was the number 1 left-handed pitcher in California. It's a pretty big state. It's not the number 1 left-handed pitcher in Vermont. It's California. Those 3 guys are really, really talented, and I think could very well form LSU's weekend rotation. And while you could look at LSU last year and say that was such a great team, it was a generational team with top-end talent, the first 2 picks in the draft, and they won a championship, provided all those memories, and it was so great in Omaha last year, you would look at that weekend rotation and go, man, it was in flux a lot of the year. Floyd had his ups and downs. We remember the 17 strikeouts at the end, but hey, how about the rough outings? We remember that they struggled to figure anything out on Sunday. Christian Little was your Sunday starter for a while. Hurd lost his job. You were just trying to find anybody you could toss out there in a game 3 to give you a chance. Now, you've lost a lot of offensive punch with Cruz and Morgan and Dugas. We get it. Thompson's gone. Like, it's a lot to replace offensively. But if you can start with 3 potential top 3-round picks in your rotation, it's a pretty good place to start. And that's what D1 Baseball is saying with 3 of your pitchers in the top 62 college draft prospects in this year's draft. And then the other player who's mentioned in this list is Paxton Kling. And you go, wait a second, he's only a sophomore. Wait, he's a draft-eligible sophomore because of age. He's number 50 on this list. And some of you that listen probably listen, kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Some of you listen very intently. Some of you listen once a week. Some of you listen every single day a lot. We appreciate all of you for listening, but there are different degrees of listenership. If you're one of the ones that listens to us pretty much all day, every day, and you're one of those that remembers the things that we say, you will catch me when they start fall practice in 2 weeks, and when they finish fall practice in 6 or 8 weeks, and when they report in January, and when they start in February. You will hear this chorus from me routinely about LSU's baseball team moving into the 2024 season. The freshmen from last year who will become sophomores will likely dictate, in my opinion, how far this team goes. And Paxton Kling is right in the middle of that. It's Paxton Kling, it's Jared Jones, it's Brady Neal, it's Ethan Fry, it's Gavin Guidry. It's those guys that are going to form a big chunk of this lineup. I don't have to worry about Tommy White. He's going to be what he is. Milazzo and Travinsky, they're going to be in there playing some. And I kind of know what they are, too. They're older players. They're not going to take some massive jump. But Kling can, and Jones can, and Neal can, and Guidry can. Those are the guys that are going to have to elevate because you're having to take over for Trey Morgan. I'm not going to throw Cruz out there. That's a little much. But you're having to take over for Jordan Thompson. You've got to replace Gavin Dugas. You don't have to replace Tommy White or Travinsky or Milazzo. But those guys are going to have to be a huge force. And Paxton Kling has every tool you could want in the toolbox. He's 6'2". He runs well. He's got a big arm. He swings the bat well. He's got big power. Like, he's got everything you would want. He's got everything that Mikey Matuk had. He's got everything that Jake Fraley had. He's got the ability. He's just got to put it to practice. D1 Baseball is telling you can. And it's exciting to think about this team going out there. But what this tells me is you've got one of the best hitters in the country in Tommy White. He's number 7 on this list. You've got potentially an entire weekend rotation in the top 62 of this list with Holman and Hurd and Jump. And then you've got one of your precocious young talents who needs to break through and become a dude. That's Paxton Kling, who is 50th on this list. That's just a little bit of baseball. They don't start for 2 weeks, and I'll go ahead and start talking about that a little bit more regular, maybe once a week when they do that in 2 weeks. But saw this come out, figured, hey, we can throw 15 minutes of baseball in here on this Thursday. So I appreciate y'all for letting me do that because it's fun. And I think the fact that they won the championship last year allows me a little bit more leeway on this front. If they were a team that lost in the Super last year, I'd be like, wait, it's not even close. But hey, everybody's still feeling good. The vibes are really good from going up there and winning and what this team did over that month and those last 2 weeks in Omaha. That I feel like I can sneak that in here and there. That's a little thought on the baseball squad. When we come back, we'll hit some Saints. Bryce Love, what is he? Do I keep saying Bryce Love? That's not right. It would be Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Packers. Bryce Love, not that interested in. That was a running back for somebody at one point. I think out west somewhere. Right. Stanford. Don't care about that. Jordan Love, quarterback of the Packers. We'll talk about how they've used him and what you can expect from the Saints. That's coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready to start the NFL week off right because right now all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay for Thursday night football. Just place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game. It's the Giants and the 49ers. You'll get bonus bucks back if you don't win. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. Build your own or choose from one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN so you don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issues, non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Next refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or somebody knows a gaming problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel
In the prep football season, and we get started with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock. Friday night at 6, Catholic High and St. Thomas More kick off at 7, and that's immediately followed by Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
We got in about 2 o'clock in the morning and got a couple hours of sleep and got back at it this morning. So we're playing a little bit of catch up, but ultimately we'll when it comes time to play on Sunday, we'll have a good plan together and be ready to go on Sunday.
I love football coaches, man. I realize there are more demanding jobs than like I have. I don't spend a ton of time working at 11 o'clock at night or 4 in the morning. That doesn't happen very often. You put in a full day's work, but I get some sleep. Football coaches, only can get 2 hours of sleep. We flew back in, got to get back up and watch the film at 4 in the morning. So let's. I mean, Steve Ensminger at LSU had a little mattress on his floor with an LSU blanket. I can only sleep an hour and a half. Got to get back up and put in that read option play. It's like, man, could you just is it really necessary? Now, I do understand the Saints are on a very short week because you played Monday night, you traveled to that game, so you had to travel home, and you have to travel to this game. So that's not a great break from a scheduling perspective for the Saints. But with the schedule that the Saints have, the quarterbacks that they're facing, I think we would struggle to complain too much, right? So that's Dennis Allen talking about the Saints getting ready to prep for the Packers. I said Bryce Love a couple times. Bryce Love was the running back at Stanford. Saints did just play Bryce Young, and now they're going to play Jordan Love. So just a lot of things happening there in my brain. We're going to stick with Jordan Love. He's the quarterback of the Packers. And I wanted to dive in and look at how Jordan Love has performed through the first 2 weeks, because when I saw him on the schedule and this team on the schedule, I looked at that and I said, look, man, this guy's not going to be any good. I had no expectation that Jordan Love would play very well. And he's been pretty good. The numbers are interesting. At Chicago in the opener, on the road, hated rival, packed house, high intensity. He was 15 of 27, so only 55%. 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Had a really nice throw. He was pressured on an angle route to Aaron Jones over the middle. That was a big 50-yard touchdown. Made a couple of easy throws for touchdowns where the Bears blew coverages. One was on a busted play, and the Bears got lost, and the other was just over the middle for their first touchdown of the year. It was a pretty good throw, but an open receiver nonetheless. And then against Atlanta on the road again last week, 14 of 25, that's only 56%, for 151 yards and 3 touchdowns. When I looked at the numbers, I was like, man, that's not a lot. Not throwing for a ton of yards. He's not throwing interceptions. So I'm sure they're treating him with kid gloves. Like, they're really making things very easy on Bryce. A lot of screens, swing passes, stuff around the line of scrimmage. Like, that's what it looks like. But in fact, that's not the case when I went back and looked at the highlights of both of these games. They really have challenged down the field with this offense. They have allowed Jordan Love to stretch the field. So as you look at it through 2 weeks, he's 4th in the NFL in QBR. He's 1st in the NFL, tied with Kirk Cousins for touchdowns. And he's number 2 in yards per completion. So, like, they're completing big plays with him through the air. Now, those are all towards the top of the NFL. These statistics are closer to the bottom. He's 30th in completion percentage, which you would expect if you're throwing the ball down the field. He is 28th in attempts, which means they're running the ball. Now, they got a lead on the Bears, which helps. And he's 23rd in the NFL in passing yards. All those down towards the bottom. So not completing a ton, is completing them for some big plays, not making the big mistake. All of that is fairly predictable. Now, you would suggest, like, okay, you got a quarterback who's in his first year as a starter. You really want to run the football. Well, they're 26th in the NFL in yards per rush, and they're 25th in the NFL in rushing yards per game. They're not running it that well. And the Saints' defensive front has played well through 2 games. The Saints' whole defense has played well through 2 games, but the front's been very good. And then you look to the fact that David Bakhtiari is dealing with an injury up front. Like, the Packers are banged up on their offensive line. And if the Saints are going to take control of this game and force Jordan Love into some things that he hasn't done through 2 games, you stop the run, you get him in 3rd and longs, and then you take advantage of a banged-up offensive line. That is the recipe for these Saints to get after Jordan Love and to create some turnovers. And that's what they've done. I mean, we realize the Saints were historically bad last year in terms of forcing turnovers. They finally have turned that around through a couple of games. They really forced Ryan Tannehill into some turnovers, and then he helped them out there. And then Bryce Young, was forced into a couple bad plays, and then even had one turnover that was called back for a holding back in the secondary. The Saints got the pass rush, got the ball loose, and did recover. It would have been a huge play if not for the defensive holding. So another opportunity for the Saints to get out there and play really well up front. The question was asked to Dennis Allen, like, y'all have been amazing on defense. You haven't allowed anybody over 20 in 10 games. It's a franchise record. It's amazing. Can you sustain this?
I don't know why we can't. Now, does that mean every single game you go out there, you're holding teams to 16, 17 points? I don't know. That's pretty lofty expectations throughout an entire season on a game in and game out basis. But that's the standard. And look, I think our guys, as long as they continue to come in and work the way that they're working, focus on all the details, play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and everybody just focuses on making sure they're doing their job. And if all 11 do that on every single play, I don't see any reason why we can't, sustain that type of defense.
I'm with him. I think they can be really, really good. Clearly, they did at the end of the last year, and they've done it here. And you can say, well, that's a rookie quarterback in his first home game on Monday Night Football last week. Whoop-de-doo. Tannehill's over the hill, whatever. But, again, you look at who they're playing, and these are the types of quarterbacks, whether they're super young, whether Anthony Richardson's ready to go and you play him, C.J. Stroud in a couple of weeks, or Bryce Young, I keep doing it, Jordan Love in this spot. Like, they're all kind of the same. And the Saints defense is good and should be able to consistently hold teams around 20. And with the weapons that Saints have on offense and the defense playing like that, they should win a lot more than they lose. I would feel differently if the Saints were in the Patriots division and Rodgers wasn't hurt. And you had Tua playing like that with Tyreek Hill, and you had Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson and that crew in New York, and then you had to play Josh Allen in Buffalo a couple times, and that was 6 of your games. I'd be like, well, I mean, yeah, they're knocking Tannehill around, but what about when they get to Rodgers and Josh Allen? That's not the case. It's Desmond Ridder. It's Baker Mayfield. It's Bryce Young. So I do think it's sustainable, and I do think the Saints can be one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. And with that defense playing like that and that schedule, it looks pretty good. And I said this before the Saints took the field for the first game against the Titans that Sunday. I said it on Friday. Not a homer, not black and gold glasses, not emotionally invested. I think you should be pretty excited about this team in this season. And on Tuesday, after they won that game, I came in and I said, look, defense is really good. Excited about that. Offense needs to show some strides, specifically up front. But all in all, you should feel pretty good about it. And if you're a Saints fan today, I think you should feel pretty good about this team. And I think you should feel pretty good about this matchup coming up on Sunday. It's not going to be easy. Packers defense is pretty good. And Love has been a top 5 QBR quarterback through 2 weeks. But is this going to be the stiffest test he's faced? I would suggest yes. I don't think the Bears and Falcons quite up to the standard of the Saints. Just my thoughts on the situation. We'll do a little bit more Saints preview on tomorrow's show. Looking forward to that. But I like the Saints as we sit here today. I'll dive a little bit more into it coming up this evening. Busy Thursday shows are already brought to you by Rouse's. If you're watching the Saints on Sunday, want to have some folks over, all your drinks, all your food, all those game day watching needs can be satiated at Rouse's. You can go in. It's a wonderful shopping experience. All the Rouse's are clean. It's a fantastic way to do your shopping. Or if you don't have time, you just want to do it on the app, have your personal shopper go handle it and do curbside pickup, you can do that as well. Put that promo code in, Saints20, for your over $100 orders. You get $20 off. And for the curbside, if you just spend $35, you don't have to spend an extra cent to have them walk it out to you. It's a great convenience over there at Rouse's. We're thrilled to be partners with them, and thank you so much for bringing you our Thursday shows. All right, we'll take one more time out. We'll play some Take It or Leave It, and we will get on down the road. Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is that website. Thrilled to announce this. One Bath and Closets now offering financing. So if it seems like it's not a great time financially to get it done with a bathroom remodel or a closet renovation, they can help you with that with some financing. 12 months, no interest, no payments if your credit is approved. David Duvall is thrilled to announce that. So look, it's the holiday season coming up. How awesome would it go over if you got the loved one in your life a brand new bathroom? David Duvall and One Bath and Closets can do the entire thing. Soup to nuts, as he says. Don't have to call 4 contractors and get them all on the same page. Just one. They'll put a schedule together. They'll be there on time. They'll finish on time, and they're not going to cut any corners just to get to the next job. I promise you that. They will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Hit the website, onebathandclosets.com. Look at the testimonials. Look at the pictures of their great work, and request that free consultation. Doesn't cost you anything. Onebathandclosets.com is the website. Onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat. Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, let's kick off Football Friday as we recap the Thursday Night Football action, preview both Saturday and Sunday. We got Rips UA and some champagne shenanigans to wrap up the show. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Closing up shop here, Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all hanging with us for the last couple of hours. Reminder, Coach's Show, Brian Kelly Show tonight from TJ Ribs. Voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair and Brian Kelly talking LSU football over at TJ Ribs. You can hear that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, from 7 to 8 this evening. All right, one more order of business. It is take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. Former LSU basketball Tiger Eric Gaines has been named the preseason. It's at the American Conference Player of the Year because UAB is in the American now.
They are.
Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Gaines was always very exciting to watch. I didn't love watching him shoot threes, but man, could he play defense? Could he anticipate passing lanes? Could he jump like crazy, block shots? He just did really exciting things. And when Will Wade moved on, he moved on and went over to UAB, and he's had a nice little go there with Andy Kennedy and their crew. I wouldn't think of him as a conference player of the year because I don't think of him as a scorer in that way. And most of the time, the conference player of the year is going to be an elite level scorer who's going to throw 17 or 18 a game at you. And I just never thought Gaines was that guy. But he's exciting to watch. And my guy Shea Dixon of On 3, big Eric Gaines supporter. Loves him some Eric Gaines. So he'll be all over that. He's a big UAB Blazers guy now these days, I'm sure.
Shout out to Andy Kennedy, former Ole Miss coach.
That's true.
At UAB. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on
they have,
here.
And you know who their football coach is?
Yeah, Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer.
Fighting Trent Dilfers.
He'll be in Athens on Saturday.
Yeah. The Solheim Cup, take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I'm not going to get up at midnight to watch, which I absolutely 100% am going to do next Thursday night. I'll be up at 1 o'clock watching the Ryder Cup next week. No questions asked. I'll watch every shot until I go to bed. I'll try to go to sleep at 8 o'clock at night and sleep for a couple hours. And then I'll wake up and watch every shot of the Ryder Cup throughout the early morning, which is like 1 to 6 before I come to work. Solheim Cup, for those that don't know, is the female version of the Ryder Cup. It's Europe versus America. You got some LSU flavor. Madeline Sagstrom is on Team Europe, so I won't be pulling for her. But I will watch if it's available to me and I'm awake. I'm not going to get up for it, but I'll check in on the score here. Hope the Stars and Stripes do really well. But my eyes are already focused on Rome. We got to get it done overseas with the boys next week in the Ryder Cup. So that's where my international golf has to be focused at this point. I can't waste too many points there on the Solheim Cup.
The Detroit Tigers hired former Cubs and Blackhawks assistant GM Jeff Greenberg as their new GM. Greenberg will get the Tigers back to the playoffs. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. That's a tough gig. The division stinks. I mean, the Guardians kind of win it by default most of the time. The Twins are pretty mediocre. The White Sox have completely cratered. They had a great young nucleus, and it absolutely fell apart on them. Now they've ditched everybody. They had pathetic manager hires. They've just ditched their GM and baseball ops chair, and Jerry Reinsdorf's running that like he's running the Bulls, and he still has like an ounce of goodwill in Chicago because of the Jordan years, but everything else under his tutelage outside of the Jordan years and the 1 year the White Sox got it done has been a disaster, and I don't anticipate that getting any better. So the division's bad. You got an opportunity to come in there, but hopefully you can fix my guy Javi, because Javi is on the struggle bus up there in Detroit. He needs the electricity of Wrigley. He needs 40,000 people going crazy. He needs a pennant race. He can't operate in front of 4,000 people for a terrible team. He's been awful since he got there, which makes me sad. But I don't really care about the Detroit Tigers or anyone in the AL Central outside of the White Sox, who I hope lose every game they play.
Last one here. Joe Burrow should take 2 weeks off to rest his calf. Take it or leave it.
I'm taking it. And this is not going to happen. But, I mean, he's obviously hurt. And it's not going to get any better if he continues to go out there and try to run and drive off his right calf to try to throw. And I realize, and he was asked today, like, is the fact that y'all are 0-2 kind of a factor in you trying to get back and play? And he was like, yeah, I think about that. And I get that. He wants to win, and he understands, like when we were sitting here 2 weeks ago, you were thinking about the Bengals as a team that absolutely should be considering and fighting for home field in the AFC. And they should be one of the top teams in the AFC, a Super Bowl contender, and a chance to win the entire thing. And they're still that, I think. But they are 0-2, and if you fall to 0-4, 0-5, all of a sudden you're probably not going to make the playoffs. So I know that Joe's considering that, but he's not going to be of value to them if he can't move or if he rips it again and you really can't play for the entire season. It's a terrible situation for him. It's really it's because he wants so badly to play, but it's going to be as a detriment to his team if he goes out there and gets hurt again. And you look at their schedule, they're playing the Rams at home this week and on Monday night in a game they really need to win because the next two are on the road. Tennessee, who's not awesome, but it is on the road, and then at Arizona that you can win that game as well. Their bye week, as I continue to look, is after Seattle. They have a really early bye this year, so they have 4 more games, and then their bye. It's probably not realistic for him to sit out for all of those. I mean, I don't think Bengal fans are going to get the warm and fuzzies, considering that. I mean, it says right now that their backup quarterback is Jake Browning. I don't even know who that is, but he's not going to have help from them when they need him in the playoffs if his calf's still hurt. So I realize that starting 0-6 is not necessarily on his bingo card, but if you consider maybe they can go 2-2, beat the Cardinals and the Rams, I mean, it's doubtful, but I'm trying, and that would get him to 2-4. It's just a tough. They got really hot last year after they started 0-2, but he was healthy. It's just a bad spot. I think the Bengals are in trouble because 0-2 is not the end of the world. Burrow being hurt is, hyperbolically speaking, the end of the world. And so we'll see what he decides to do. I'm sure he'll go out there and play. I'm sure he'll gimp around. I'm sure it won't look very good. But hopefully they can get a win against the Rams on Monday night. We'll see. Let's do it for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Rouse's brings you our Thursday shows each and every week. T-Bob will be out at Rouse's Burbank and Lee tomorrow. That'll be the remote from 3 to 5. He'll be giving out gift cards, be giving out cups and hats and shirts and keychains and all the fun stuff. And he'll be talking some football or whatever you want to talk about. T-Bob's out there every Friday, Burbank and Lee from 3 to 5. And remind you, Rouse's also our home for the pregame show each and every Saturday. That's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Charles Hanegriff and Matt Musso will be out at the Rouse's Burbank and Lee from 1 to 6. 1 to 6. They don't have a 5-hour show. From 1 to 4 before the LSU Sports Radio Network takes over. That, of course, is me and Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite. So if you're looking to go out to campus, need to stock up on a few things before you head out there, including ice, which they never run out of at Rouse's. The one on Burbank and Lee, Charlie and Musa will be right out there broadcasting Eagle 98.1 Game Day. On today's show, had a lot of fun. Started the show talking about this Arkansas defensive front and the problems they could pose to LSU. Statistically, it's a good group. How does LSU counter that? Luke Johnson at 1:15 talking Saints and Packers. Luke, excited to head up to the homeland where he's from up there in Wisconsin this weekend. At 1:30, a little bit more of the talk between LSU and Arkansas. But gave my survivor pick. This week, it is the Chiefs. I don't know if there's another pick on the board as good as the Chiefs this week. They are a shoo-in to get that dub this weekend. I'll very likely move to 3-0 in my survivor picks, which is what we're looking for. We're trying to get to week 9, which is what Beck said that I couldn't get to. So I've got the Chiefs. They play the Bears at home this week, so they're going to get it done. We had best win and worst loss as well. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, was with us at 2 o'clock. You can catch him tonight on the Coach's Show at 7 o'clock. 5 players from LSU named D1 Baseball's top 100 college prospects. I hit on that at 2:15. And a little thought on Jordan Love, quarterback of the Packers. You can find all of that on demand wherever you find your audio and, of course, always on YouTube. Matt's going to drive you home from 3 to 6. We'll see you tomorrow for a Football Friday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.